Hello, anybody that might be watching. My name is Cameron Reistel, and I'm a flatbed truck driver for Prime Inc. I'm a lease operator or an independent contractor, depending on which way you want to put it. And I have been out here doing this since September of 2017. Got my own truck in December, or I leased my own truck through Prime. I no longer had to ride with a trainer in December, 2 weeks before Christmas of 2017. This is my first posted attempt at a vlog, with more to come. They'll get better as I go along. Obviously, with practice, they should get better. If not, then well, that'd be kind of crappy. But I have a feeling they'll get better, at least in the beginning, until I see whether or not people are actually interested in them and are watching them. They're going to be unedited, filmed on my cell phone, hanging in the truck as this one is. And then maybe if they start to actually garner some attention and interest from people, and I start getting some subscribers and questions and stuff, I'll actually invest in a editing program and make them a little smoother, more cohesive, more viewer friendly, and just nicer looking. But until then, I mean, hey, I'm early on. I think most vlogs start a little rough early on. But yeah, so as I said, I'm a flatbed truck driver for Prime Inc. I love what I do. I'm out here getting paid to see the country. I've been to 47 of the 48 continental, or continuous, the main 48 of the United States, the lower 48. I've been to 47 of the 48 states since I started in September. I haven't made it up to Maine yet. I imagine I'll make it up there eventually. But I have seen more of the country than I ever thought I would see, and I'm not paying, well, I sort of am paying, but I'm actually getting paid to see the country. For the most part, I'm not paying. I mean, yes, I'm a lease operator. I have to pay for my own fuel. I have to pay for, at Prime's discounted rate, I have to pay the truck payment. I have to pay insurance on the truck. I have to pay the APU rental. I have to feed myself, all that fun stuff, all the normal stuff. But for the most part, if I run the number of loads that Prime wants me to in a week, I usually make really good money getting out here and seeing stuff that people usually pay to go and see. I mean, how can you beat that? I get paid to go see what people pay to go on vacation and see. That's pretty awesome. Obviously it has its upsides and its downsides. I'll go more into that in a future video, because there will be future videos. I'm pretty confident of that. But yeah, I mean, I guess what all would people be curious about? I'm as of filming this video, Memorial Day 2018, I'm 26. I'll be 27 next month. Before this, I was a car salesman. I sold for Audi, and worked several other office jobs before that. This is my first real physical labor job, and flatbedding definitely has a lot of physical labor to it. You have to secure all your unloads with straps and chains. Oh God, chains. You have to tarp a lot of the loads. Every now and then you get lucky and you don't have to tarp a load, or you'll get lucky and you'll go a whole week or two without having to tarp a load, which when that happens, it is just like, oh, it's amazing. But my last few loads have all been tarped. I had onions right before this load, which, yes, they do transport onions, some onions on a flatbed truck out to the distributor, and then they put them in refrigerated trucks and ship them off to the stores. And some of them go out to the distributors in refrigerated trucks too. It just depends how much they want to, whether they want to be a little, it's a little less expensive, obviously, to transport onions on a unrefrigerated, untemperature controlled flatbed truck than it is in a refrigerated truck, where they're also charging you for the fuel to run the refrigerated truck, because it has its own engine and a diesel tank to keep it refrigerated in there. It's not running off the truck's engine, for those of y'all who didn't know that. The reefer trucks refrigerated trucks are, yeah, the reefer trailers have their own standalone little 3 or 4 cylinder diesel engine mounted onto them. They can hook up to any truck, and they'll stay cool even when they're unhooked from the truck. But yeah, so I had onions before that. Before this, now I've got 47,000 pounds worth of lumber, which also had to be tarped because it had to be kept, has to be kept dry. And that is, tarping loads like this is definitely a workout. The onions, you're having to walk around on top of them and try to keep your balance while holding and carrying around these tarps that can weigh over 100 pounds. With this load, the lumber is stacked about as tall as me. I'm 6'1", and it's stacked at least 6 feet tall, so you're lifting these 100+ pound tarps up on top 6 feet into the air, then climbing up on top of the load, undoing it, unrolling it, unfolding it, trying to get it centered, and making sure that you can get the bungees and everything on it to secure it going down the road so it's not flapping too much, and it actually is keeping the load dry for the most part. So yeah, between that, strapping, chaining, the fact that flatbed, you spend a lot of time out in the elements versus reefer or even tanker, where tanker spends more time out in the elements than reefer, than the refrigerated trucks do. The refrigerated trucks get out, open the doors, back up to the dock, sit there. They can, from my understanding, they get back in the truck, wait for it to get unloaded, go back inside, get their paperwork, pull forward, close the doors, leave. Tanker, a lot of times, some shippers will, or some receivers will pump the stuff out of the truck on their own. Some require you to pump it out. I know that because I watched another Prime driver on YouTube. What's his name? But he does tanker for Prime, and he's actually one of the guys I watched before I came over to Prime, just to try, when I was trying to decide what company I wanted to go with and what division I wanted to go with. And tanker was very close to, I almost went with tanker and ended up going with flatbed because the training was a little bit faster on flatbed, because tanker, while you have your learner's permit, you can't drive the truck while it's loaded. You can only drive it while it's empty, which means you have to spend more time out on the road before you can go back and test for your license. Where flatbed, you can drive a loaded truck from day one with your learner's permit. It doesn't matter, there's no laws preventing you from doing it. So I ended up going flatbed. Yeah, tanker, yeah, you spend some time out in the elements. Flatbed, you spend a ton of time out in the elements because you have to secure the loads with straps and chains, which takes a while. You have to tarp your load, and when you have to tarp a load, wow, that takes a long time. I've secured loads, secured and tarp loads in everything from 120 plus degrees in the Southern California desert all the way down to negative 28 degrees. Oh, I got a new neighbor. Negative 28 degrees in Nebraska in February. It's, you deal with the temperature extremes, you spend a lot of time out in them, and I quite enjoy it. I mean, I've managed to lose 30, almost 40 pounds since I started driving for Prime and doing flatbed, just because it is physical labor. I mean, my diet's improved a little bit too, but not too much, because I mean, I do still eat a lot of truck stop food, which is fast food: Subway, McDonald's, Arby's, Wendy's, Burger King, Popeyes, Sbarro, Denny's. I'll probably end up having Denny's tonight because this Flying J has a Denny's inside of it. And I've still managed to lose a lot of weight. That shows you that it is a lot of physical labor. I enjoy it. I mean, I'm getting paid to get in shape. I'm getting paid to see the country. I think that's a pretty good deal right there. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. It's not for everybody. It is a lot of hard work. You definitely have to be a little bit of a loner. You have to be willing to, unless you get a regional job where you're home frequently. I definitely don't have one of those. I'm over the road, so I get home every 2 or 3 months for a few days. and I'm a solo driver. I'm not a team driver. There's nobody else in this truck with me. So you do spend a lot of time alone, by yourself. So it takes a certain kind of person to be able to do that. I definitely find that part tricky. I always thought I was a loner before I did this job, and I have come to realize that I am not nearly as much of a loner as I thought. I'm definitely an introvert. I've recorded videos like this several times now and never have posted them. I am going to post this one, because once I post one, it'll be easier for me to convince myself to post more. But even being an introvert, I've realized that I do need to interact with the people that I am close with, that I do let get close to me. I need human contact, is basically what I'm saying, and I didn't realize that before I did this job. This job will definitely tell you whether or not you have whether you're a people person or whether you're pretty good just being out by yourself, and just talking to family and friends on the phone occasionally while you're driving, or whether you really need to interact with people. This job will make that very clear to you very quickly. I figured that out, and yeah, I mean, I miss being around people, but it's when I go home, I see them, I hang out with them, and maybe one day, I know one day I'll end up getting a local job again, driving or something. I'll always be able to. I definitely did it right getting my license to drive a truck. I will always be able to find a job no matter what, because there's such a shortage of truck drivers right now that anytime I need a job, I'll always be able to find one driving a truck, making good money, a rather steady paycheck, good money and all that. Yeah, that won't ever be an issue. But I know eventually I'll end up back home, or at least on a regional job, because right now I'm single. It's probably the best way to get started driving actually no, it's probably not the best way to get started driving a truck. It's probably best to be in a relationship before you do it, and then both parties agree and say yes, you can go drive a truck. Because being single and driving a truck, I want to find somebody. I'm not afraid to say I want to get married, I want to have kids, I want to do the whole fall in love thing. And then when I have kids, I want to be there and be in their lives and be a big part of their lives and watch them grow up and not be gone all the time. So I know that day will come eventually where I'll want to go home and find a local job. But right now, I'm loving what I do. I get paid to see the country. I get paid to drive around in up to 80,000 pounds. Right now I weigh a little over 79,000 pounds with this lumber load on there, and I get paid to drive this massive vehicle / hotel room, small hotel room, around the country every day. And being flatbed, I get to see different parts of the country than most people in the trucking industry do, because you see a lot of the reefer trucks, the vans, which are just the big box trailers that everybody kind of thinks of when you think of tractor trailers. And the tankers all tend to go into cities and stay on the big major roads, because that's where the shops and all their customers are at. Flatbed, I have had this truck in the middle of a farmer's field, not by accident, on purpose, dropping loads. Construction sites, I've went down roads where it is blatantly obvious that they do not want trucks down that road, but that's where I had to drop a load at, so I'm trying to squeeze a almost 70-foot long truck down roads that are tight for cars, where I'm taking corners and cars are having to stop and back up because I'm taking up both lanes, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. Driving flatbed, you will take a truck places it is not intended to be, and I view that challenge as quite fun. It's entertaining. It's always challenging, and very rarely routine, and I quite enjoy that. Doing the same thing all the time in a routine gets boring very, very quickly, and it's been my biggest downfall in the past is getting bored. When I get bored, I switch jobs and make mistakes, and yeah, more about that in a later video. But yeah, so that was a introduction video to me. I know it's kind of an abrupt ending. I'll have more videos coming. I'll show y'all, since I'm a lease operator, I'll show y'all some pay stubs from some average weeks, some really good weeks where I made a few $1,000s, and some weeks like last week where I owed Prime a decent chunk of money because the truck broke and I was only able to run one load and I had to pay for maintenance on the truck, so I ended up owing Prime money instead of making any money. So I'll show you that. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. I will be glad to answer any of them. Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this. I hope y'all will come back and watch some more of the videos in the future. Likes would be great. I know this is the first one, so it's unlikely, but that's fine. But yeah, if you like my random self and ramblings and you want to know more about my opinion on the trucking industry, I'm going to be pretty brutally honest. I don't see any reason to sugarcoat it. I mean, yes, there's positives to this industry, and yeah, there's some negatives. And I'll be glad to talk about them. But yeah, like, subscribe. I think that's what you're supposed to do on YouTube. What you're supposed to say on YouTube is what all the ones I watch say to do at the end of their videos. And until next time, y'all have fun. See you then.